At this point, do you think this election is a kind of statement that wokeism as a movement is dead?
I don't know. I mean, it's very difficult to say because wokeism itself is not a movement with a party leader. It's a amorphous belief that has worked its way through institutions now for almost 40 or 50 years. I mean, it's effectively a religion. And part of the reason why it's difficult to define is it means different things to different people. So, for example, there are varying degrees of how we would define quote unquote woke. Do I think that the Democrats will be speaking in so called academic language? Yes, I do think they will. I think that the next Democratic nominee will not do that. However, Kamala Harris actually did move as much as she could away from quote unquote woke, but she basically was punished for a lot of the sins of both herself from 2019, but a general cultural feeling that her and the people around her do not understand me. And not only do not understand me, but have racial preferences or a regime or an understanding that would lead to a quote unquote equity mindset, equal outcomes for everybody as opposed to equality of opportunity, which is more of a colorblind philosophy. So I can't say. I think it's way too early. And, again, like you can not use the word Latinx, but do you still believe in an effective affirmative action regime, in terms of how you would run your Department of Justice, in terms of how you view the world, in terms of what you think the real dividing lines in America are? Because I would say that's still actually kind of a woke mindset. And that's part of the reason why the term itself doesn't really mean a whole lot. And we have to get actually really specific about what it looks like in operations. In operation, it means affirmative action. It means the NASDAQ passing some law that if you want to go public or something, that you have to have a woman and a person of color on your board. Like this is a blatant and extraordinary racialism that they've enshrined in their bylaws. So you can get rid of ESG, that's great. But you can get rid of DEI, I think that's great. But it's really about a mindset and a view of the world, and I don't think that's going anywhere.
And you think the reason it doesn't work well in practice is because there's a big degree to which it's anti-meritocracy.
It's anti-American, really. I mean, DEI and woke and affirmative action make perfect sense in a lot of different countries. Okay, and there are a lot of countries out there that are multi-ethnic and they're heterogeneous, and they are run by basically quasi-dictators. And the way it works is that you pay off the Christians and you pay off the Muslims, and they get this guy and they get that guy, and everybody kind of shakes it. It's very explicit. Where they're like, we have 10 spots, and they go to the Christians. We have 10 spots, and they goes to the Hindus. I'm talking India's a country that I know pretty well, and this does kind of work like that on state politics level in some respect. But in America, fundamentally, we really believe that no matter where you are from, that you come here and basically within a generation, especially if you migrate here legally and you integrate, that you leave a lot of that stuff behind. And the story, the American dream that is ingrained in so many of us is one that really does not mesh well with any sort of racial preference regime or anything that's not meritocratic. And I mean, I will give the left wingers some, credit in the idea that meritocracy itself, could have preference for people who have privileged backgrounds. I think that's true. And so, the way I would like to see it is to increase everybody's equality of opportunity to make sure that they all have a chance at quote unquote willing out the American dream, but that doesn't erase meritocracy, hard work, and many of the other things that we associate with the American character, with the American frontier. So really, these are two ideologies which are really at odds. Like in a lot of ways, like wokeism, racialism, and all this is a third world ideology. It's one that's very prevalent in Europe and all across Asia, but it doesn't mix well here, and it shouldn't. And I'm really glad that America feels the same way.